Hey, what's up? It's Joe. So it's Monday morning, December 16th, and a great article came across my feed this morning. It's called Apache Iceberg, the Hadoop of the Modern Data Stack, question mark. And this article, it's written by a guy named Danny, published in Data Engineer Things. And, it starts off talking about sort of the parallel path of Iceberg. I wouldn't say path, but path of adoption perhaps of Iceberg and Hadoop. And then it goes into some, technical details about small file problems and complexity of maintaining the stack and all that stuff. And then, I'm going to leave that to, vendors to hash out. I think that there's enough attention on Iceberg that a lot of these problems that this person brings up are going to go away as Iceberg gets more adoption. But I think the broader point, the more important point to me is not whether it's Iceberg or any other tool, right? I think it's this notion of stepping back and understanding, is this the tool that I need to solve my problem? So I saw this with Hadoop, which the author mentions and draws parallels to Apache Iceberg adoption, which is soon to be coming in 2025, I'm guessing. But Hadoop, I think, was a great tool if you needed something like it to solve your problem. If you had complexity and size that warranted something like Hadoop, let alone managing something as complicated as the Hadoop ecosystem, go for it. But what I'd often see, and I see this with Spark as well, is people adopt these tools on very, very small data sets, right? We're talking gigs. Back in the day, Hadoop, I'd seen it in companies and it would be literally low gigs of data, at which point I'm like, why are you wasting your time with this? You could probably throw this into Postgres and do just what do just fine without all the complexity of managing HDFS and everything else, right? And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the same thing with Iceberg. Now, granted, Iceberg is much simpler to manage, but that's, I would hope so. That's the nature of technology. It's today's technology evolves to solve the problems of yesterday's technology. And Iceberg started at Netflix to solve Netflix's problems, and got adoption elsewhere, but now it's, I think by all accounts, it's the open table format of the moment. And it seems like it's going to be here to stay for a bit. But the broader question I would ask to people is just, do you need it at all, right? By my estimation, I don't think most companies need anything complicated. I think you could be just fine running most of your analytics on spreadsheets, to be frank, maybe DuckDB, pandas, polars, whatever, but given the state of how powerful most machines are these days, I'm talking laptops, desktops, or whatever, I'm starting to have second thoughts on, certain cloud data workloads and if they are the right place to run workloads, right? From what I've seen, data people, data practitioners, they might collaborate with other people, but typically they're working on problems themselves and solving problems themselves. At which point, I need to ask: is it worth spending the tax to have these great tools, which they are? There's great cloud data platforms, great file formats. Don't get me wrong; they're all great. But the question you need to ask yourself is: do I need this right now, right? Or can I get by with something that's cheaper or free and less complicated? So that's I think the question that I hope you can answer for yourself. If your situation warrants something like Iceberg, then go for it, right? Just be aware of what it takes to run it. And by all accounts, there's not a lot to it, especially as things get simpler. S3 tables manages a lot of the compaction complexity behind the scenes for you. It does cost money. Keep that in mind. And I would say if you have the problem of having a lot of data that you need to manage, then sure, look at this. But just understand, what's the cost? I'm sure you're going through this calculation right now. But the thing that struck out to me with this article is really just, and I mentioned this on a podcast, I think it was last week or something. But I mentioned it felt very much like the Hadoop days, where people were just getting Hadoop probably for optics, really, for resume-driven development, where they could say, "I'm running Hadoop," right? And so I think this is going to be something very similar, where we're running Iceberg on our, at our whatever company, small, medium-sized company, right? And maybe you need it, maybe you don't, right? But just understand your use case, understand, if there's something simpler out there. So that's all I wanted to rant about. But yeah, I think it's cool seeing Iceberg's adoption. I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah, that's all I needed to say. So have a good day. Bye.